Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakkenaf van Jan.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertutst.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Oh, yeah, episode 87. Here we go.
Oh, my goodness, 8-7. Look at us.
We're getting closer to the election, and yet there's still some good news coming out. We found, there's a lot of hard stuff going on this week, but we did find some good news. Did you see the Borat movie?
Is that the good news, that there's a new Borat movie?
I think that is partially the good news. When the world goes to shit, it's nice to have something to be able to laugh at.
Absolutely. Yes, new Borat movie. I saw it. I enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Sacha Baron Cohen and everything he does. Sacha Baron Cohen is a great Jew, too.
I think
in a lot of regards.
Even in the first Borat movie, he goes out of his way to expose anti-Semitism. I mean, the whole character, the Borat character, is an anti-Semite. Like, in his town of Kazakhstan, they have the running of the Jew, which is like, looks more like a Belgian parade than any other parade. Yeah. But, I mean, that's sort of like the big joke is that he hates the Jews as his character, and that's how he is able to expose inherent anti-Semitism, that casual anti-Semitism even,
and how stupid anti-Semitism is, and how dumb it is.
And small spoiler alert about the new movie, and how the anti-Semitism that comes up in this movie. I thought it was particularly amusing that the character of Borat considers the Holocaust to be a shining example of why. It's a thing to be celebrated. That's how anti-Semitic he is that he celebrates the Holocaust. But his daughter finds news on the internet that of Holocaust deniers saying that it didn't happen, and he's heartbroken to learn.
He's very upset. It's very funny.
He's very upset to learn that it didn't exist.
He interviews a Holocaust survivor who actually tried to sue him, and then they dropped the lawsuit, thankfully.
Well, supposedly, I was reading that he went out of his way to let her know what was going to be what she was going to be used for in the film, so that she understood that he wasn't trying to use her tragedy to make light of it. Like, he was literally using it as a way to educate the audience that might think that the Holocaust didn't happen.
That is what he said, but apparently the woman didn't feel that way.
Which is, it's upsetting to hear that he said, she said on this particular issue, because I feel like it is one of those things that cemented respect that I have for him in thinking that he went out of his way to clue her in. Then
out of respect for her being a Holocaust survivor. Sacha Baron Cohen is, very against Holocaust denial, which is everyone should be because it's ridiculous, but he's been quite outspoken about it, which is great. I appreciate it. Apparently the lawsuit has been dropped, so that's all good. Borat is sweeping the nation, is bringing awareness about the Holocaust, which is very good also because, as we discussed, a lot of people in America, they don't know anything about the Holocaust.
We talk about it every week on here, about how hard it is to see that so many people have such little knowledge about what it was, even the people that agree that it happened.
So it's great that he has such a huge platform and such a big following, and that he's using it to do something good for the Jewish community and raise awareness. So go to Sacha Baron Cohen. He's our Jew of the week.
If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It is nice. I like it.
Go watch it, and if you don't have an Amazon Prime account, I'm sure you could borrow your mom's password.
Yeah. Well, there's also some other seemingly good news coming out of this election cycle. There are 4 Jews running for seats in the Senate.
And one of them killed a bear.
I know. Can you believe it?
My gosh.
When I saw he was from Alaska.
Bear-killing Jew.
When I saw he was from Alaska, I was like, well, that makes sense. I mean, that's...
Okay, yeah. It was in self-defense, too. He wasn't just, trying to kill the bear for sport. But apparently it was an anti-Semitic bear, and he took that bear down.
Alaska's like the only state where killing a bear can be used under the Stand Your Ground law.
Alaska's the only state that you can say you killed a bear, and people are like, we want to vote for that guy.
Well, it literally says in the article that I read that he killed a bear in self-defense when he was working as a commercial fisherman.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, that alone would have my vote, but then him being Jewish is even better. And these 4 prospective senators.
Yeah, two of them in Georgia. Both seats in Georgia are up to Jews. One of them is Joe Lieberman's son.
Right. Joe Lieberman was going to be the vice president with Al Gore.
Correct. And then John Ossoff, who's apparently like the face of the anti-Trump movement within the Democratic Party, is also running, and that's pretty exciting to have 2 guys that are not just Jewish but also vehemently and passionately going to
side with the Democrats. If they win, they're going to change these Republican seats to Democratic seats. We talked about the other guy recently because there was some anti-Semitism about him where his opponent was using like an image of him with like a long Jew nose, for lack of a better phrase or whatever. But yeah, hey, that's good. More Jewish representation is good.
And then there's Mirav Ben David, who's running in Wyoming.
I didn't even know there were Jews in Wyoming, but
I know it's kind of crazy.
I think she might be able to kill a bear.
They say that it's the reddest state in the country, Wyoming. They only give her a 1 in 20 chance of winning.
Okay.
But, we as Jews, we're pretty comfortable being the underdog.
Yeah, we always come about on top against the odds. So, well, that's good,
Well, apparently she was born and raised in Israel. She's been a citizen since 2009, and she's a fixture in Wyoming's small Jewish community in Laramie.
Zed Tov Mod.
Yes, she's a fixture. I mean, I don't know how – they don't tell you. She says more often than not she's in charge of making the matzo balls. That's what she said.
Yeah, apparently she makes very good matzo ball soup.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you get the Jewish vote, really, is with the –
Is that how you get it?
With food.
Oh, I thought you were going to say through balls.
Well, it takes balls too, I think. But, certainly the matzo balls –
well, that's good. I mean, hey, if you live in any of those states, we hope you vote for them.
Get out and vote for some Jews.
Whatever. Vote for whoever you want, but
do
something, participate in the voting process, and get out there. But seriously, you should vote for Joe Biden.
I already voted for Joe Biden. I early voted yesterday, and I went with my parents, who apparently look so old upon arrival that they were just they didn't even have to approach anybody. They were approached. Like, excuse me, you seem elderly. You can just go in the side entrance. I got to cut the line.
Good.
I was like, I'm with them.
Always riding your parents' coattails on Jordon.
Listen, there are reports of a lot of long lines at a lot of the early voting stations, but I think that it is really kind of great to see that. And I found, and from what I've read, there's a lot of good feelings on those lines. Like the people that are there that are waiting, that have sort of resolved that it's going to be an hour or two. There's not a lot of complaining about that on the line. It seems like to me. I feel like there was a lot of solidarity amongst the people online, and people on the line that I was on before my parents arrived and took me off of it. There were people walking up and down the line handing out free slices of pizza, free cookies. Wow,
there's food on this line. It sounds delicious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, too bad they weren't giving out matzo ball soup.
It's probably harder to give out soup on a line.
The old soup lines, right?
I guess it's
right, maybe a knish.
Yeah, right? They should have handed out some knishes.
Well, I didn't know they're giving out free lunch at these voting lines. Jeez, I got to go to mine. I'm hungry.
Yeah,
and some Chinese food.
And they didn't. And as far as I could tell, the pizza did not come with a mandate on who you vote for either. So you go up and vote against our country or for our country, up to you.
But the pepperoni was blue for some reason. Well, that's cool. Well, good. Voting, do it, make it happen. I'm
happy to see that a lot of people are taking advantage of the early voting process throughout the country as well. And there still seems to be, as always, there is also troubling news.
There's always troubling news. It's really troubling what happened to these 3 Jews in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, yeah. Listen.
For those that don't know, 3 Jews went to show solidarity to the BLM protests that are going on there for the most recent shooting by cops of an African-American. Unfortunately, I can't believe this is still happening after everything that's been going on, but it is still happening. This is why it's such a huge problem, obviously. Anyways, it's another topic, but these 3 Jewish people went apparently to show solidarity, and they were attacked.
Yeah, they were
told they're from, the synagogue of Satan. and that they're not real Jews, and they're not welcome there, and this isn't their fight, and they should leave. And this is just horrible. How do you fight racism by being anti-Semitic? I feel like we've talked about this before, but it's really crazy. It's not helping the Black Lives Matter cause for people to be doing this. It's not helping the African American cause. It's not helping like anybody. Like, it's just showing the ugliness of humanity, and it's really sad to see this happening, because obviously, the cops killing another black guy is wrong, it's horrible, it's bad, but then bringing people together, you would hope would be the thing, not tearing them more apart. I watched the video, and it's despicable. One of the guys pushes one of the Jews.
These Jews were just there to show solidarity. I mean, we've talked about this before, about how injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. It's that kind of thing. Like, we need to stand up with these other marginalized communities, because we want them to stand together with us as well. Anti-Semitism and racism and bigotry are things that need to be called out and stamped out regardless of where you come from. So it's disappointing to see people being turned away from helping to join that cause. And, I was reading that they were members of like the Black Israelites and the followers of Farrakhan, who kind of spout that
dumb anti-Semite Farrakhan.
I mean, I really, to say this is not your fight and to actually create a physical altercation in that moment it's sad. It really is sad.
It's taking away attention from where it should be. And that's about, the death of Walter Wallace Jr., not about people hating on each other and anti-Semitism. It's like, this shouldn't even be a story. This shouldn't even be wasting people's breath, people's mind, people's attention to watch this video, anything. It's just ridiculous to see this kind of Jew hatred going on in the world.
And on the other side of it, there was a thing in New York this week where it was a Jews for Trump rally that rode through Manhattan, like through Times Square, and then out to Brooklyn and some more Hasidic neighborhoods where the rallies were bigger. And Giuliani was part of the convoy, and there were some Hasidics on there that got pepper sprayed by anti-Trump people, basically converging on the convoy and like telling them to get out of there and create. I mean, some people were arrested in the course of it.
But I think it's more anti-Trump than it is anti-Semitic.
For sure, but it was. I feel like that it's like the flip side of that Philadelphia thing. Like, that was designed specifically to draw the kind of anti-Trump thing that makes it look like anti-Semitism instead of, people. It's in.
Well, Philadelphia was anti-Semitism,
right?
I think what happened in New York was anti-Trump.
But I believe, but in my opinion, it was staged. You have this Jews for Trump thing. People are going to come out and say, "Oh, these people are anti-Semitic because they attacked those Jews, not because of not anti-Trump."
Well, that's my feeling on it. People are going to say, unfortunately. We've talked about this last couple of weeks with the Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, and how their actions are reflecting poorly on the Jews. And in my opinion, creating anti-Semitism, I know that's not a super popular opinion to say that, the Jews are the reason for anti-Semitism. Of course, anti-Semitism existed forever. Anti-Semitism exists whether those Jews do that or not. But I do think that, minorities, even not minorities, have a responsibility, especially ones that are hated, not to bring on more like negative attention and energy and hatred, and not to do things that are going to cause more problems, which result in anti-Semitism. I'm sorry. I don't feel like African Americans, they make racism, but I know some people that I've never heard say a racist word their whole lives, my whole lives, our whole knowing each other. And then after some of the riots, to hear them say some things that are racist because of the actions of those individuals. So it doesn't make it right that these people are doing it, but that's the way the world is. Okay, if I walk into some place with a yarmulke and I start being a huge dick to everybody, all the people in that establishment are going to have a negative view, and they're going to associate it with Judaism because of the way I'm dressed. So
and
that's
what? And that happens once, twice a month for you.
Yeah. Well, apparently I'm a self-hating Jew.
Twice a month.
What people are telling me online, that I'm a self-hating Jew who's just trying to get non-Jews to like me or social justice warriors to like me. I don't know. I don't really get it. But, I do think that we can create anti-Semitism. I mean, it's not right. It doesn't mean that the people should hate all Jews because of the actions of a few. You shouldn't do that with any group. But the same, we've talked about this with Israel. In Europe, a major source of anti-Semitism is Israel's treatment of the Palestinian people. And that reflects poorly on all Jews. If Israel wouldn't act that way towards the Palestinian people, that hatred towards the Jews wouldn't be there.
It's hard to get past that that issue when discussing any of this. I feel like there are Jews who just simply don't acknowledge that they take part in creating animosity towards us.
Listen, I'm as liberal as they get. I'm not attacking Trump people. I don't like that about liberals. I feel like that's something that Trump has brought out in liberals that has made them so much more aggressive and angry and mean-spirited and radicalized, kind of, where they're doing all this stuff where they're attacking Trump supporters or ripping down flags or doing this like horrible things that reflect poorly on all liberals and make all liberals look bad.
I was reading a thing today about how there are these like Hasidic rabbis who believe that reading the Torah and reading the Talmud is how you protect yourself from COVID-19.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I just thought it was the biggest crock of bullshit ever, and it's really appalling and disturbing that they would think that, we put it all in God's hands, and, it's okay, whatever happens, happens, and studying the Torah is more important than our health and safety.
I mean, taken literally, I would think that if you sequester yourself and sit in a dark room and just read the Torah, I mean, you are social distancing.
Yeah, you could read the Torah alone. You could study the Torah over Zoom. It's just crazy to think that. But hey, it's not only happening in Brooklyn, it's happening in Israel too, where the ultra-Orthodox communities are spreading COVID at a faster rate. And Israel went back in lockdown. I know Trump claims that one of his accomplishments of his first term as president was ending the coronavirus pandemic. But it is still happening, and it is still going on at an alarming rate. And everybody has a responsibility to themselves, to the community, to their family, to take it seriously. And, it's one thing if you want to be outside alone and no one's around you not to wear a mask, but it's another thing if you're having mass gatherings of people not wearing masks and you just don't really care. I mean, there was a wedding apparently that was going to have like over 10,000 people that they had to shut down.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then I heard that they were having the ultra-Orthodox Jews, a lot of them are on WhatsApp apparently, and there was a WhatsApp message going around telling parents not to, if their kids were sick with COVID symptoms, not to tell anybody they had COVID symptoms, not to get them tested, just to keep them home from school and tell people that they had a stomach ache because they didn't want people to find out that there's been a COVID outbreak and maybe shut down the schools. And it's like, of course. No wonder they were shouted out when that's happening. It's just insane. And we got to stop crying anti-Semitism every chance we get. Anti-Semitism exists. It's a problem. It's horrible. It needs to end. It's fucking devastating that it's rising instead of getting lower, in this day and age. But it is. And we have to take it seriously. And we can't just any opportunity we get to say anti-Semitism, because then it takes away from when things are really anti-Semitic. The people that hate us are like, oh, these Jews, they just cry anti-Semitism at everything. Oh.
That's why it's important that I think that we talk about this stuff and that we have, all these different perspectives and ways to sort of to laugh at some of this stuff. Like you have to find the absurdity in some of this and be able to at least use it as ways to educate. Like, the fact that Sacha Baron Cohen uses mockery and satire to expose some of this stuff so that we can start having these conversations and start from a basis of reality rather than starting specifically just from inherent biases that we've been holding on to for too long.
Absolutely, and it's kind of sad that we live in a world there where kids want to get an education about the Holocaust, so they got to watch fucking Borat.
Yeah.
And I just want to say for the record, I'm not a self-hating Jew. I hate myself. It has nothing to do with me being Jewish.
You're just a self-hating human who happens to be Jewish.
I just hate myself.
Yeah. Probably a good segue for our guest. We're going to bring somebody on who loves you.
Oh, he's a great guy. You know, there are so many shits in the comedy business, but I gotta say, Allan is a great guy. He's always been super supportive, super kind. Really excited to welcome comedian
Allan Fuks
to the show.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
You got the apocalypse behind you, looks like.
No, this is actually Queens right now.
Welcome to the show, our good friend and comedian, Allan Fuks. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for coming on. Allan is a member of the tribe. We're thrilled to have him on. You have a new album out too, right?
That was an early draft. I was going to call it The Worst Jew.
The Worst Jew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition for that, Allan.
Well, I'm actually working on sketches. I'd love to get you guys involved too, where we go around being terrible Jews.
Wow, okay. So you're just going to like...
I mean, the Chasim are already doing that in Brooklyn right now, but we could try to take them on.
We're going to take them on and see if we could do even worse.
I always feel like
Sure
if you're going to put me in a sketch about being a bad Jew, is it going to be like a documentary style? Because that seems to be my life.
Yeah, we'll try to corrupt some ultra-Orthodox Jews, see if we could shock them with, you know, this like Americanized, secular Jewish lifestyle. And we have a lot of like stuff planned for that.
I was actually in a very religious neighborhood in Brooklyn last night, and every like religious girl I saw was like trying to hit on just to like see where it would go, and they were not liking it at all. They did not think it was funny. I was whipping out the Hebrew and everything, and they were just like not having it. I put my mask on like it was a yarmulke and forget about it. Nothing.
Nah, no, you could spot from a mile away. You're not part of like that. You're not ultra at all. You know.
I'm not spreading COVID. I'm not ultra enough.
Like even if you dressed up, they could tell you're fake. It's Jewish in name only, Gino or whatever. But yeah, it's I performed. For some reason I keep getting hired for these ultra Orthodox Jewish gigs.
Oh, geez,
and it's always like it's the same thing all the time. It's tough audiences as far as like laughter, because it's like every Jew, it's like doing like a black show, doing like an urban show or whatever. When you perform for ultra Orthodox Jews or just a Jewish show in general, it's similar to like an urban show where a lot of people there think they're funny enough to be comedians. They're funny too in their little bubble, in their world. They don't realize like that's been hacky, you know, for the last 5 decades. You know, they don't know. And
right. I find they also think like they think this back and forth between like the audience members and the comedians. That's like what comedy is. I don't know where this fucking misconception came from that like, you know, an audience member saying something, then the comedian burns him back is like what comedy is. Because that's actually like the furthest from comedy. Comedy's about like writing jokes, having a persona, a point of view, and expressing that to the audience, not having some asshole in the back try to like get some attention and be part of the show and have some fucking roast battle in the middle of it.
But that's what you're describing is more of a purist form of comedy. Comedy nerds are into like mainstream comedy. A lot of times, people's exposure to mainstream stand-up, like it's where it's Eddie Murphy and Chappelle going back and forth, and they think it's that. The thing about stand-up in movies, because that's people's like most Americans, that's their exposure to stand-up. It's what they've seen in movies. Most Americans, I don't think, have been to a stand-up comedy show. In a club setting, you can do that. You have the freedom to like really go hard and slam them to shut them down. That's one thing. But like if you're doing like a private, like I'll do these private gigs and they pay pretty damn good, so I can't bite the hand that feeds me too hard, you know?
Right.
So I have to figure out a way to do it where, you know, it's like I put them in their place, but at the same time, I'm not making it so, like, you know, the whole crowd is like, what the fuck is this, you know?
Where are these Jews finding you?
I keep getting referred. I'm not even asking for the referrals. I just keep getting referred, you know?
That's what it's like being Jewish, right?
Yeah. and so often, it's chaos. There's, like, a kid running through. You can make it all the announcements you want, turn off your cell phones, no talking, no this. 5 seconds as you're going up to the stage, cell phones are going off. People's alarms are going off. People are taking phone calls during the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you just have to like roll with it. That's what it is. And the other thing I noticed,
for others.
if you're not getting laid, you should look at becoming Jewish, because ultra Orthodox or Orthodox, because the disparity of attractive levels between the men and the women is greater than I've ever seen anywhere else.
All right, so that's what you think you got to do. If you want a hot girl and you can't get one, convert.
Like
there are like, and then those gigs have like Jewish aunts and grandmothers that are trying to set up their daughters and nieces and stuff.
Yeah, but it's like like the guys. It's never. I have yet to see a Hasidic man who's in shape, taking care of himself. Looks. I've never seen a Hasidic man who's like, that guy's hot. It's always like a guy who looks like the comic book. It's always like the guy who looks like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, and a girl he would have never gotten had the religion not, intervened and be like, here, let's hook you up.
Yeah, maybe that's why they believe so hard.
And basically, you're saying that if you were to turn gay, that you would not be gay for a Hasidic man if that was the case.
If you're gay, unless you're into bears, you shouldn't be a Jew. That's not. If you're gay, go to church. A lot of hot dudes in church.
Was Judaism a big part of your life growing up in your household, Allan?
So in my household, it was a little different. My parents came from the Soviet Union, so there you couldn't really. It was tough for Jews to practice openly. And it was basically they just like retained when they came to this country. They really just knew about the basic rituals, what everybody knows with the menorah and the dreidels and all that, and the superstition.
So only Hanukkah and superstition.
Hanukkah and superstition. That's all they knew. And when to starve and when to only eat the matzah crackers. That's it. Okay. Everything else was like like if you wore socks. You're wishing death on your family.
Really? I never heard this.
I don't know.
This is Jewish superstition?
Maybe they're just reading my mind.
I never heard this socks thing.
Is that why?
I don't know.
I wonder. I never heard the socks thing either. I feel like socks are like the big Hanukkah gift.
I know, right? No,
when it comes to like the 8th night, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Like after the good gift, 7th night, it's like, here's socks. 8th night, here's underwear.
I never got good gifts. They were all just like crap. They're like, not only were they crappy gifts, but they would end early. It's like they got tired of giving me gifts. They give me like 3 crappy gifts, like one for the first 3 nights, and they're like, nah, we're over it.
We're not that Jewish.
Yeah, we're not that Jewish. So then, but yeah, it was that, and it was like, we had the mezuzah, that was a thing. It was like weird, like they would send, like real Jews, they would send their kids to yeshiva and like Jewish, like summer camps. With us, anyone who's like Russian or Eastern European, they'd send you in the summer to bungalow colonies. That's like a big thing. So they sent us to a bungalow colony, and like when I was about to turn 13, they had me working with a rabbi for my bar mitzvah, and then at the last minute, they changed their minds and they took that money and they went on a cruise.
Oh wow. That's harsh. They made you learn the bar mitzvah stuff, and then they're like, screw this. We're going to the Bahamas.
I was so pissed. I learned the Hebrew alphabet and the Baruch Atah, the Nai, whatever. It was so annoying. And then they took the cruise without me, too.
Oh, my.
Oh, you weren't even allowed to go on the cruise.
No, I think they invited me, but I was so annoyed with them. I was like, nah, you go, but I don't want to be with you.
So you never had a bar mitzvah?
No. And what else is I'm circumcised. I'm not happy about that. I'm very upset about that.
Really? Why?
I don't like the craftsmanship.
Okay. Oh wow, botched job, huh?
Yeah, you think the guy didn't make it that good? Not a nice cut, huh?
Not botched, but I wouldn't describe him as an artisan. I don't know if they got the top in their field. I don't.
Oh really? He didn't have good Yelp reviews?
Probably not.
That'd actually be very funny. Yelp reviews for like a Moel.
Yeah, if you're looking for a Moel, if you're looking for a Moel on a budget.
I don't know if this guy was an official Moel. I don't know, but
he was some Caribbean guy that your parents met on the subway.
Yeah, he just had like sharp tools. So they're like, all right, whatever.
He sliced it with a DVD that he was selling.
He had sharp tools and a taste for blood, and he knew all the prayers.
Yeah, and he liked little kid penises. Like, whatever, it's fine. We're not worried.
I mean, pleased with my circumcision.
Really, if you had to do it over, if you had a choice, if you had a say in the matter, you would agree. You would be circumcised. You would say yes. You'd tell your parents to go ahead and do it.
Yes, at this point in my life.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, from what the women I've gathered, they prefer it.
Yeah, but so who cares? You lost. Think about all the sensation that you lost, all those nerve endings.
And hey, maybe you're right. Maybe there's something to that. I haven't really thought that much about that. Do you think it is that much more pleasurable?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
How would you know, though?
I mean, that's what gives us pleasure are those nerve endings. You know?
But isn't it? Because isn't like the head of your penis where you get like a lot of the pleasure and like that skin was covering over it?
No. When you get an erection and you're uncircumcised, you pull it. The skin comes back. You pull it back. It comes. It comes out and
Allan,
goes
you
down.
know a lot more about penises than I thought.
Oh, I'm a Renaissance man of penis.
Okay, well, hey, maybe I made the wrong choice.
I'm telling you, I don't think people should be circumcised. I don't like the argument against it either. That it's more hygienic. Just wash your dick. What do you mean? How's it more hygienic? If you're not washing your dick, it's not going to be good no matter what it looks like.
This is all true.
That is very true.
I don't know. I guess back in the old days, it was harder to get into the nooks and crannies.
Jordan, would you be circumcised if you had to say in the matter?
I mean, listen, I didn't have a say in the matter to begin with because I was 8 days old. I mean, I haven't known a life any other way. I don't know. I don't think that an 8-day-old person could really make that decision for themselves.
The crying doesn't do it.
I was older. I remember some of it.
What?
How old were you?
I got to find out. The whole thing was very traumatic because I remember. This is gonna get. I don't know. this is not where I thought this would go, but I'll tell you anyway. Okay, I'll talk about anything. I got to find out the age, but I remember I was old enough where stitches were coming out. I had black stitches coming out of my dick.
Oh.
And this was like a regular thing in my house was like they would tell me like Allan, come to the kitchen table. We got to get your dick stitches out. And
wow, your parents are really cruel.
Or they're just very lax when it comes to
dick stitches and bar mitzvahs.
Very cash when it comes to dick.
Halfway through the circumcision, they went on a cruise without you.
So yeah, they're on the phone with their travel agent. Yeah, but not. So what do you call it? I remember very vividly my father watching these bad reruns of 70s detective shows or like violent movies, like Death Wish or whatever. And he would be like one eye would be on TV, the other eye would be sort of on my dick, and he would take out the stitches, and a lot of times he would like hurt me because he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. And he's one of these guys that gets so engrossed in a movie that like when there's an explosion, it jolts him. he goes flying. I'm like, dude, you can't watch a movie and operate on my penis at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
like the worst molestation story I ever heard in my life.
No, it was. He didn't like jerk me off to completion.
I know.
I mean, it's not.
Why was your
creepy
dad removing
stuff.
your dick stitches anyways?
No, he was providing a medical service.
He's like, he didn't.
Is your dad a doctor?
They're gonna take me to the doctor. No, I don't want to mischaracterize. It was nothing sexual about it. There wasn't like
No. Of course not. Yeah. I was just making a bad joke.
Yeah, no. At least for me, there wasn't. I can't speak.
I mean, you couldn't get it up because you had all the stitches anyways.
I can't speak on behalf of all the other people he invited, but
Were they there to watch your stitch removal or the TV show?
I did think it was weird that everyone had their pants down. I thought that was a little odd, but no, it was. I don't know.
That's probably why you hate circumcision so much, because you had it like a younger age, so it traumatized you more at an older age. Yeah.
that's part of it, but also the sensation. I feel like why? There's no need. I don't buy the argument for it. If you want, I think that's a decision that a person should make for themselves when they get older, just in case they're not with it. You know.
I mean, I think religion is like that. You should make the decision what religion you want to be when you get older. But it seems like the older you get, the worse this circumcision will be.
But what does that say?
I have no recollection of it.
Yeah, I have no recollection of mine either.
But so think about that. Think about that argument that the people say that like, well, it hurts too much when you're an adult. So why does it hurt? It hurts that much less when you're a kid. It still hurts. It's
Listen,
No, it hurts.
painful.
I'm sure it hurts.
You know, there are plenty of moments probably from my first couple of years of life that I don't remember that were joyous occasions as well. Like I don't remember walking for the first time, but I bet you I felt pretty damn happy about it.
I thought you were going to say from your first circumcision for a second. I was like, damn, how many did you get?
He just liked being touched. He's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, my parents found a guy who was a deal. It was a 2-for-1, so.
So, Alan, does Judaism play a part of your life now?
You know what it is? It's more that it's like I root for the team. It's more like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's one that, like, whenever I see a story of anti-Semitism, I get really riled up. I just bristle, and I just want to. I still want it to be like one of the worst things someone can call someone is an anti-Semite. I want it to be one of those things like that people are just I want people to be terrified of having that label on them. You know?
Have you ever experienced anti-Semitism?
Yeah. What do you mean? Of course, yeah. But I experienced. You know what it is? Kids don't even know what they're saying. Because I went to school until I was 14. I was in school in the South Bronx, right?
All right.
And I was like basically the only white kid in my entire school, probably in the entire neighborhood at that point. And kids would say things, you know, like you dirty Jew. You know, they didn't even know what they were saying. Like a little kid doesn't understand he's probably just regurgitating what he's hearing at home. Right. You know. But yeah, like little things, just like when I was working in the restaurant industry, you'd hear stuff about. You know, like people would just, I guess they'd make jokes, but you could tell they really weren't joking. Or, you know, you talk to people and they don't know because my last name, it was Fuks, and then we changed it to Finn and it went back to Fuks. But when it was Finn, people didn't know I was Jewish. So it's like you're an undercover Jew and people don't realize what they're saying when they think that you're not Jewish. They're very casual about it. You know, like my landlady, you know, gets drunk and will say things, and just people in general. You hang out at bars, you'll hear something. You know, it's like it never really goes away.
Yeah. Okay, so just like rude comments.
Yeah, like rude comments. My family like experienced the worst of it. You know, like my father, like you know, you couldn't go to certain universities, like. Jews were second-class citizens for a very, very long time in the Soviet Union. That's why so many of them fled. That's why as soon as they let them go, they just it was a mass exodus. So yeah, you know. But and it's not so bad obviously in New York. You're not going to experience it as much as like when you go, you know, like into the sticks. It seems like when you go into the sticks, that's where it's like really bad. You know. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there's tons of Jews in New York.
Yeah. So people,
like Jewish capital of America, right?
Yeah. What about you guys? Have you guys had any anti-Semitic experiences?
Nothing.
I mean, just responses to our podcast.
What's that?
I said just responses to our podcast.
Oh, really?
Nothing too crazy. Yeah. Nothing really good. But there's still time. Keeping our fingers crossed with anti-Semitism going crazy all over the world.
It is weird. Like I was watching, what's that movie? Fantastic Mr. Fox, right?
Okay.
That's by Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
Wrote that.
Right, Wes
book,
Anderson movie.
Right? It's weird, like who we are canceling, who we're not, and like because Roald Dahl, like it's not even like a gray area. It's not even like a murky issue. Like with Mel Gibson, he could blame it on the alcohol or whatever. You know, there's certain celebrities who are like, well, was that misconstrued? And like with Roald Dahl, he actually came out and said, "I am an anti-Semite." Like, there's no way around. Like, he declared himself an anti-Semite, and it's just weird that like that. And it's a shame because he's brilliant at what he does, you know. But like, what do you do? Do you show that movie to your kids? You know.
Hey, I mean, Walt Disney, they say, was a huge anti-Semite. Ford was a huge anti-Semite. You know.
Ford had a photo of Hitler on his desk. I just don't understand, like, these guys who are so accomplished. Like, where do they even find the time to hate Jews? To really get,
everybody needs a hobby, Alan.
Is that? I mean, is that really their hobby? I mean,
I'm into knitting and Jew hating. How about you?
I don't know, like Roald Dahl. I was watching the movie, and he's like, the movie is so charming. It's about these, you know, these cute foxes. Like, what was the was he like? I'm gonna, you know, create the most adorable fox and you know, and a beaver and a rabbit and fucking Jews, you know, and they go back and like,
they're too good to eat these animals.
Jews. It's really, and the movie, you know, it's about people who have, or like basically the animals are refugees. It's kind of like you know, an Orwellian type of story. The fact that he can't see, you know, it's so bizarre. Anti-Semitism, it's weird that it's still around, and it's like, it basically shows you that sociopathy exists in society and it will never go away. Like, no matter, millions of Jews died, were murdered, all these movies from, you know, all these Holocaust films, but it doesn't matter. People still are out there who hate Jews and want to see us dead.
Yep.
It's disappointing.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it sounds weird to say this, but that's like one of my favorite parts about being a Jew.
Is the constant hatred?
That we're so hated, that like so many people have these issues with us. Like, there must be something about us that is like fucking awesome and great or something to have so many people hate us, you know? But maybe I'm just like a sicko. Like, I'll do a show and it'll be the same thing. Well, everyone will like me, but there'll be one person that doesn't like me. And I'm really into the person that fucking hates me because I'm like, wow, how have I made this person hate me so much? Like, I must be doing something right.
That's a healthy attitude. The longer I've gone, I've gotten much better with someone hating me. You know, if someone hates me, it's just I chalk it up to maybe they just experienced a version of me that didn't line up right with the version of them. Yeah. You know.
Okay.
And that's what it was. Because I feel like if we do meet the best versions of ourselves, then you probably won't have hatred. But every now and then, it kind of things don't align properly, and then boom, it's just pure hatred, and people hold on to that hatred, and you know.
Yeah, you know, I heard somebody say once when it came to comedy that if you're not pissing someone off, you're not doing it right, and I don't know, I kind of agree.
Yeah. Well, my next sketch is going to piss off a lot of people. I'm going to have to go into hiding.
Uh-oh.
Are you very political, Alan?
The sketches I try to keep from being too political, but I do, you know, I'm a junkie, political junkie. I should specify. I'm a political junkie. And, I follow politics very closely. But I haven't really done that too much in my act. You know?
Do you think Trump is an anti-Semite, or you think he's not an anti-Semite?
I think Trump will say he's the survivalist. So for him, there are no parameters. There's no, like, the moral compass doesn't exist. His compass is only points towards people who will give him what he wants. And that's it. Does he have any real friends where it's not transactional?
I don't think so.
Not, right?
He doesn't seem to have fun doing anything except making other people feel smaller. You never see him make an act. The only time he ever comes out and says, "Oh, I was joking," it's never the funny part. He's never funny. He's not funny. He doesn't have friends. He has.
You're breaking up a little bit.
He only has. Yeah, all of his relationships are transactional.
Have you been to Israel, Alan?
I've never been to Israel.
Have you gone back to Russia?
Nah, it's always tricky. It's like, when is there a good time to go to Russia? You know, like you fight so hard to get out, and then you know, you go. What if I go back and they find out something I said that they didn't like, and who's gonna come after me if for whatever reason they decide to do something?
Also a pair of Levi's doesn't buy what it used to.
Yeah, unless I'm running a major smuggling scheme, I don't see a point.
Okay.
No, but I would love to go if I felt that it wasn't so dangerous. I feel like now there's extreme anti-Americanism, anti-Semitism is still alive and well in that area. It feels like the extreme right wing is making a resurgence in that area. Yeah. So it's just scary. If you look at Poland and they have LGBT free zones, which is like a third of Poland is LGBT free zoned now. It's insane. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how comfortable I feel going back, but I wish I could. I'd love to see it.
What are you dating? Do you date Jewish women?
I haven't dated. I've dated some Jews. It's a weird thing. I'm not against it, but it's almost like because the way I grew up, I kind of like I'm a man without a country. I feel like so I'm never like Jewish enough for practicing Jews, and for non-Jews it feels a little bit weird too. But I tend to like dating Gentiles more, only because I'm an anti-Semite. No, only because I like something different. I want to be exposed to something different. It's like I already know the Jewish experience. I already know, the Russian, Ukrainian. I want something fresh.
Okay, because I feel like Russians usually kind of like stay amongst themselves. Whenever I meet like a Russian girl, all her friends are Russian. She's usually like has only dated Russians. She lives in like the little Brooklyn Russian community. And she never leaves. I'm like, why did you come to America just to like surround yourself with Russia? I never get it.
Yeah, no, they are. They form just like a lot of ethnicities who come here. There's like Little China. It's Chinatown. There's Little Italy. There's Brighton Beach has the little Russian community there. They do stay tight, but I'm almost like too Americanized for them. It's not. It's not a good matchup oftentimes. I just feel weird. I feel like I'm pretending to be more because I've done that. I dated once a girl who was kind of what they call them off the boat Russians. Like she was off the boat Russian, and it's just a different. It's so different than the American experience. I just felt like a phony.
Well, you felt like you were trying to trick her.
No, I just felt like I was being I was trying to be as Russian as all her Russian friends instead of just being, American. Because like when I speak Russian, it's very like it's when an American tries, speaking Spanish and they're like, "Yo habla inglés," or whatever. It's very I'm so Americanized. It's just the culture gap is it's too big.
You just speak and people are like, "Oh, he's not a real Russian."
Like even like if you watch, because my parents would watch Russian television, so even like watching that, the comedy there, the point of view, I can't really connect with it because I didn't go through those experiences. So it's very different. It's very, very different.
Do you talk about being Jewish a lot in your act?
A little bit. I talk about extreme anti-Semitism. I like to see how far I can go with that. Like I have this bit about it's basically probably the darkest bit that I've seen anyone do. It's about Jordon, and it's about how it was like the small village Nazis invaded, and they told them do as you wish with the Jews, and they didn't even like take a moment to breathe. They like went right after the Jews. As soon as they got a green light, bam, they went after them. They threw them in a barn, set the barn on fire, and chopped off some of their heads and started playing soccer with their heads. And I talk about it in my stand-up.
By the way, that's not regulation, FIFA.
That's not. Thanks. That's great. That's really, really funny. I basically so I talk about how I'm not telling you that to show you, how much Europeans hate Jews and the inhumanity of man to each other. I'm telling you that to show you how much people really love soccer. They'll play no matter what. So yeah, I like staying up to date on anti-Semitism, what's happening around the world with it, why people are leaving, why they feel unsafe. But yeah, I mean, even like people are afraid in Europe to even wear their yarmulkes.
Yeah.
They tell them like take off your yarmulke.
Right.
I mean, think about that. Like what? That's insane. That's
No,
absolutely
for sure.
insane.
I think in Germany at one point they had like in the newspaper a little cutout yarmulke, and they were telling everybody to wear them, kind of like solidarity.
Yeah, can you imagine that? How great! That's amazing. That Germany now is a better place for Jews than a lot of than like France or England.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
Alan, we have some questions we like to ask all our guests.
All right.
What's your favorite Jewish holiday?
I don't know. It's one of those. I've dated so many Gentiles. I've celebrated Christmas more than Hanukkah. You know. So
you're going Christmas. You're going Jesus' birthday. He was a Jew, kind of, sort of.
Christmas is technically a Jewish holiday. I think that's underappreciated by Jews.
Okay, do you have a favorite like Jewish food?
Yeah, I like pierogi. I guess pierogies. Do you classify pierogies as Jewish? I don't like gefilte fish. I'll have bagels and lox. How about that? Jews know what they're doing with the bagels and lox.
That works.
Standard. You know, a lot of Eastern European food is very kind of like Jewish.
Yeah.
I love a pierogi.
Jews brisket. You know, you go to a right Jew, you get a really nice brisket.
Who's your favorite Jew of all time? Fictional, real life, biblical, whatever you like.
I mean, it's hard not to say Einstein, right?
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I don't think anyone has said that one before.
I mean, really, his name is synonymous with genius.
Right.
I mean, how, you know, I don't see that in our futures.
I mean,
how come that's not a derogatory term people call Jews? Like this Einstein over here.
Well, I mean, people do use it as a derogatory term when it's sarcastic. Like, good job, Einstein.
Yeah, but it's still flattering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still, that's not like very Jewy when they say that.
And, Albert Brooks and his brother Bob Einstein, their last name is Einstein. Comedian Albert Brooks is actually Albert Einstein.
They're high on the list. Those guys are great.
Yeah.
Super Dave Osborne, right?
Indeed.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome.
I was going to ask you if you had anything you wanted to plug.
Yeah, check out my. I'm working really hard on going digital, making a push. Because stand up is like just in tatters right now. So follow me at Nightmare Fuel Comedy. 3 words, Nightmare Fuel Comedy on YouTube. Check out the short sketches there. We're gonna have the most controversial one, not just that we've done, but probably one of the most controversial ones you've ever seen on there in about a week or so. So let us know what you think.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan, for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Love talking about Jew hate.
Yes. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Good to see you. We look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
Yes, you too. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks.
Super grateful to have Allan Fuks on the show. Check him out on social media.
Yeah, thanks to Allan for coming on. We always love having all the different Jewish perspectives, including, even though he's himself not an immigrant, he's got a lot of good perspectives on that experience in America.
Yeah, now every time I have sex, I'll be thinking about how much more I'd be enjoying it if I still had my foreskin. But hey, if you want to enjoy something, you should be following me on social media. I'm at Jonathan Randall on all platforms. Of course, you could follow us, American Jew Podcast, on all platforms except for Twitter. There we're American Pod. Email us at americanjewpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find me on Instagram at BeatNickNudnik. And if you haven't subscribed to our Patreon yet, we had to cut this conversation about circumcision short, but the rest of it's on the Patreon. Sign up now and get the extended. Yeah. It'll give you all the feels. Bye, everybody.